Good evening. It is Monday, May 17th, 2021. It is 6:30 p.m. This is the Kearney Board of Aldermen meeting. We'll call a meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shirley, have you had a chance to take roll?
I have taken roll. Everybody is present, and you have a quorum.
Thank you.
Before we get started, Mayor, I would like to remove C3 from the consent agenda and move it to either mayor's remarks or for Alderman discussion.
Okay, I would be happy to talk about that item under mayor's remarks if the board would approve your recommendation to remove item C3 and move to mayor's remarks. So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item C3 will be moved to discuss under mayor's remarks. We'll discuss that first once we get to mayor's remarks. Do we have any other questions or discussion on items C1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and or 7 under the consent agenda?
I do have a question about C6. I remember in a couple of comments back and forth from David that the KEC, the Kearney Enrichment Council, was paying a portion of this. Is that still true?
So the money that they fundraised had not been specifically allocated to a specific item in the park. So we would use 100% of the funding that they donated to the city to help cover those costs.
Okay, and
It's about $44,000, I think.
so this amount, this $52,346.92, will be reduced by about $44,000.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or items of discussion on the consent agenda? If not, can we entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I make a motion to pass the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda passes. Thank you. Premier, we'll move on to mayor's remarks, and I'll obviously thank you, Dan, for asking to move that. I know that there was some questions to staff from board members on this item specifically, so I assume there'll be some discussion on this item tonight. I'm sure you've noticed the request from staff to complete a fireworks display on July 2nd, 2021. Identify the location of the Hap Albright property. Obviously, if you look at the city of Kearney on Google Maps, you'll notice there's a perfect rectangle in the middle of our city. It's approximately 40 acres of ground. Fireworks themselves are, like a lot of items this year, they cannot get imported. It was not looking good for us to have a show in general, so we had talked to our local pyro expert, Mr. Bill Scholl, about some options. We could not, and Eric, I'm going to ask you to speak, and if I'm not relaying the message as I remember from you, please correct me. Unable to locate a company available and or a company that had fireworks for the 3rd. The only reason why we were able to locate a company on July 2nd was another municipality had ordered a show and had backed out. Staff, like I said, staff recommended to me Premier, who we've used before, and that's why it's the July 2nd date. Location, Eric, do you want to talk about maybe location? I would assume elevation. It's obviously that property is higher than the elementary school, but maybe if you could maybe let the board know that details why you landed on that location and anything else that you feel is important for them to know.
When we first originally started talking about fireworks again, the pandemic was still going on, and we did not want a 6,000 person gathering at Jesse James Park. So we started thinking of the different locations, and we knew that Bill Schull had shot at the Kearney Elementary School, and we wanted to see if we could get to a higher elevation, and we discussed even out at McAfee Park as one location, the behind the cemetery is another location, and we thought as close to the center of town as we possibly can. The show isn't nearly as expensive as we've seen in the past because we don't have the larger shells, and we could do that location, and I got in contact with Jim Robertson, and he was gracious enough to allow us to shoot those shells. The largest shell we will shoot at that location will be 6 inches. That's basically how we came up with the location. Mayor was correct on saying when we talked with Bill Schull, originally he gave us his vendor up in St. Joe, and originally we were going to have the show on July 3rd. They came back and said, we can't get any fireworks. And he said, let me see if I can get you some other vendors. Never heard back from him because no vendors can get fireworks. Called Premier Pyrotechnics, and they said, we don't know if we can do a show for you. And I said, if you can, you let us know as soon as possible. This came really quick, and they said, company, a municipality backed out. We can do your show, but it has to be on July 2nd because we don't have anybody that can shoot July 3rd or July 4th. So originally we said July 3rd or 4th would be sufficient. They can't do either because they don't have any pyrotechnic people to shoot. So that's why we came up with July 2nd.
I would hope that, I mean, for years, since I was a kid, it's always been July 3rd.
Right.
Something's better than nothing, and I hope that that's what people will appreciate, all the efforts. Are there any questions, concerns, or discussion from the board on this item?
I have a discussion on this. With the changes in the CDC rulings, have you thought about moving it back to Jesse James Park?
We haven't had any. I haven't had any discussion with staff on that. Do you have time? Do you have time to pull that together, or have you guys thought about that?
I know I talked with Jeff, and I don't know if he is buzzed in. He had a meeting at 6 o'clock with Premier, but the location really doesn't matter to him. We just need a location to shoot. Now, I can tell you the shells, again, we're only going to have 6-inch shells. We haven't scheduled a concert like we normally do, or the inflatables like we normally do, but at your discretion, you tell us what you would like us to do. I can get a hold of Jeff and say, hey, if you want it to be out at Jesse James, we can move it to Jesse James, and we'll just tell him that's where we're gonna shoot. They're familiar with that site, but again.
So can I ask a question, Eric? I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Sure.
The shells are gonna be smaller than we shoot at Jesse James.
Yes.
So the visibility won't be as good throughout the community if it's shot north of town. Is that an accurate statement, you would think?
That will be an accurate statement.
What size shells do we typically shoot?
We went up to a 10-inch shell. Is that correct, Ryan? Am I saying that? 10-inch, I think, is our largest shell that we shoot out there.
That
Yeah,
is the
10 inches is the
ones
largest.
and our typical shells are the 8-inch?
We do 2s, 4s, or 2.5s, 4s, 6s, 8s, and 10s. The
Okay.
8s and 10s just go higher. And they're just,
2 to 10, so, and those are all seen fairly well out there?
right.
Okay.
So,
My whole thing was, excuse me, I didn't know if, in town, we're using smaller shells. I didn't know how much it could be seen where maybe we're out at the park. But if it's, a big problem, I mean, it's no big deal to me. I was just wondering if that's something that we had discussed about maybe moving it back there since the CDC changed their guidelines.
mhm.
I mean, if we still want to do it on Mr. Robinson's property, that's cool. I just wonder if we talked about it.
And kind of just speaking out loud here, I would hate for us to and maybe tonight we approve the contract with the location to be determined, because I want to be able to lock in a show of some sort. But and I don't think necessarily now is the time to, you know, plan an event, so to say. But we can look at, you know, there's some risk, just as, you know, things could get pushed other way, and then now we're back into mask mandates and occupancy mandates. I mean, it's a juggle.
Or rain.
Either way, right? But I'm definitely happy the way things are going, and that our public health orders are moving in the right direction. So if this is a desire to the board, if the board would prefer to have it at a different location, for whatever reason, I would ask us at a minimum to approve the budgeted expense of $15,000 for Premier, with a location to be determined.
I personally would say I agree with Dan about the location. We're changing several things. We've changed the date. We've changed some of the types of the fireworks that we will be shooting off. I would like to see at least a portion of it remain consistent. A lot of people, it's an event for them. They plan it. The family goes there. They are there for the evening. It's a big deal to a lot of, not just our locals, but also some people from out of town. And if what we're hearing is true, and I know it is, about the lack of fireworks, I would probably anticipate more people than usual coming to our community to view these. So to have these in a location that perhaps could accommodate more people than just our church parking lots and those types of things, I think would be a good thing.
I appreciate your input. Made some good points. Just one thing I want to remind you is the date's the date. We can't change that. That's out of
I
our control.
understand. Yep.
And to where I know that this brings people to town, you know, it's really an event for the city of Kearney.
Mm-hmm.
And so good points. Is there any other discussion?
I guess my biggest concern is, you know, we're in the middle of a field that has housing that surrounds it. And these are, even though they're the biggest shell is a 6-inch shell, that's much larger than a residential shell that's out there.
Same size we shot that the board approved at the elementary school. There's homes all around that area as well.
Yeah. I think I don't have a problem with the date. I think, you know, the traffic and the housing developments around it, you're gonna have all kinds of vehicles trying to find some place to see it. I'm concerned about the fallout from them. So I don't have a problem with the date, so.
None of this is a deal breaker for me. I'm thankful to you guys that you've found something that we can help enjoy the holiday. The only thing that I would throw out there, and I know we're not going to make this decision tonight, the only thing I would throw out there is that we can have it out there at the festival grounds, but there are no other amenities. I mean, people go out there to spend the evening to hear the concert and to go to the inflatables, and that's why the kids are there and all that. So,
Will people be disappointed? They show up out
yeah,
there.
then there's nothing out there. And so, it's not a deal breaker for me either way, but I just wanted to bring that argument to the table as well.
Yeah.
If I may say something.
Yes, sir.
If you, as a board, decide, in whether it's tonight, tomorrow, hopefully really quick, that if you decide to move it to Jesse James and want us to do a show, get some inflatables, you let us know, we'll get it done. Okay?
Which, keep in mind, is not part of our budget.
It's not in
So
the budget.
it's going to require,
Not in
Yes.
our
Right.
parks budget.
so,
That's fine, we can leave it out there. I was just thinking that with we could have more people now. I mean, the main thing was to do a fireworks, but keep everybody separated. That's all. I mean, it's fine. I'm not gonna die on a sword either way.
Could the board entertain a motion to approve the Premier Pyrotechnics $15,000 fireworks show proposal for July 2nd event, location to be determined, and maybe give the board a week or so to think about it and get your thoughts to Eric and Ryan? Is that fair?
I'll make a motion to approve Premier Pyrotechnics fireworks show on Friday, July 2nd, at a location to be determined.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item under Mayor's, thank you, Eric. I appreciate the report. Next item under Mayor's remarks is I am excited to finally provide some recognition to former Alderman Marie Steiner and presenting her with a resolution and a key to the city. So, move on to... Due to the COVID pandemic, recognition of former Alderman Marie Steiner was postponed until she could safely attend the board meeting in person. Both her and her husband Danny have been fully vaccinated, and we can welcome Marie in our boardroom this evening. This is a doubly special event as Danny and Marie just celebrated their 46th wedding anniversary.
Awesome.
On behalf of the city, we congratulate Marie on her long and successful marriage and her outstanding public service. Thank you, Marie, for representing Kearney at the Missouri Municipal League meetings, numerous meetings of the Clay County EDC, at our local Chamber of Commerce meetings, and as president of the Mid-America Regional Council Solid Waste District. You set a great standard for successive members of this board to follow, and we appreciate your service very much. Marie, I'd like to formally present you with a framed copy of the resolution that we approved and a key to the city of Kearney, Missouri. Congratulations, Marie.
I can use that again.
And we'd like a posed picture here. Look right there. Smile, look this way. Thank you.
Thank you.
You need that.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
The next item under Mayor's remarks is I would like the board to consider approving my reappointment of Paula Noble and Kent Porter to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I believe both of those individuals have represented our community well on that commission, and both of them are willing, per David Pavlich, to continue that service. Can we entertain a motion to approve those reappointments?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I appreciate that approval. We'll move on to Administrator's report.
Mr. Mayor, I don't actually have anything to report tonight.
So we'll go to
We showed you
public...
the spilling bucket earlier in our meeting, and so that was my excitement.
Let's go to public requests and petitions.
Mr. Mayor, enclosed in 5A is a staff report and the final plat of shop at Kearney, first replat of lots 3A, 3C, and Tract C. At their May 10th meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval, subject to meeting all staff comments. Enclosed is a proposed ordinance that we would recommend that the board consider in 5A. And David, if you would like to
Anything
report.
from staff?
Very briefly, what this replat does is, one, it establishes a lot for a proposed Club Car Wash. Two, it establishes a tract for an existing billboard sign on the off-ramp of I-35. And then, three, it corrects a property line. If you remember La Fuente, when they initially built that site, they came back later, added a strip of parking to the southwest side. This replat corrects that and moves the lot line out to encompass all of the property that they own.
Alderman Barger, as our planning and zoning liaison, do you have anything additional to add?
I know there were some concerns about the parking at La Fuente, and I think we resolved all of that. So I don't think there's anything else that was the big concern.
Okay.
Did you resolve that with La Fuente or just?
No, just explaining it that I think, again, Commissioner, Davis, thank you, totally drawing a blank, was concerned because he said there's a lot of parking, there's still parking on the grass. And, obviously that, now people are parking in the grass and it's not gonna be part of that. Once the car wash goes in, there won't be that opportunity for them. And so either the overflow is gonna have to go across the street to the Big V parking lot or to the parking lot that's, on the other side there. And so.
Okay. Is the applicant online? Do they have anything to add? Don't appear so. Any other questions or discussions from the board? If not, can we entertain, actually, can you read the ordinance by title only, please?
I will do, sir.
Thank you.
An ordinance approving a final plat of shops at Kearney First Plat, a replat of lots 3A, 3C, and Tract C, a subdivision in Kearney, Missouri, accepting dedication of right-of-ways and easements thereon.
Make a motion to approve.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Reading by title only.
An ordinance approving the final plat of shops at Kearney First Plat, replat of lots 3A, 3C, and Tract C, a subdivision in Kearney, Missouri, and accepting dedication of right-of-way and easements thereon.
Make a motion to approve on second reading.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pull the board.
Alderman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Alderman Lehman. Alderman Barger.
Aye.
Vote unanimous, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yeah. After the item.
That's fine.
Okay. Next item, please.
Mr. Mayor, enclosed in 5B is a staff report and commercial site plan for Club Car Wash, an automated tunnel wash proposed to be located next to La Fuente Mexican Restaurant. At their May 10th meeting, which the meeting minutes are enclosed, the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval subject to meeting all staff comments. A motion of the board is required to approve the commercial site plan. And we have the applicants here who, the architect, I believe, or the representing the architect and maybe the owners. So,
Be Kurt Daniels, who's the engineer, representing the applicant tonight.
Good evening, Mr.
Good
Daniels.
evening, Mayor, good evening, Board, appreciate your time tonight. Kurt Daniels with Cochran Engineering, along with me is Justin Barnes with Club Car Wash. So we appreciate the opportunity. I think David did an excellent job last week of explaining it. I talked to him a little bit tonight, and there's probably not a lot to say. So I won't belabor your meeting or anything like that. If there's questions, I'll be glad to answer them. But I do want to compliment this board on your staff, and I said this about David last week. All your staff's been super to deal with. We deal with a lot of cities around the state and in other states, and you guys have a staff to be proud of. So, and I don't say that at all.
So you don't sense any deal killing going on?
What the mayor said, you guys kind of worried me a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Does staff or anybody from the board have any specific questions from the applicant? Staff, do you have anything additional to add?
I did want to add some information. If you read through the staff report, there's a reference to the TIF agreement and an 80% rule. I call it the 80% rule, which the developer is supposed to have 80% of the square footage of businesses being a certain type of business out there.
We did engage our TIF attorney, and they acknowledged that you calculated correctly.
Yeah, Megan Miller sent a message out, and it was included in your packet. We had a conversation after that as well for just a little clarification if there was an additional question. But according to them, we calculated correctly. I talked to Robert De La Fuente yesterday, who said he had Kirk Peterson from their side look at it, and they agree with our TIF attorneys as well.
Do you have anything else to add, Alderman Barger?
I do not.
there are no other questions or concerns, if you can read the proposed, I guess,
It's just a
just a simple motion. Do we have a motion to approve the commercial, site plan at the Shops at Kearney Lot C?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Take a second reading? No, it's a simple motion.
We're done.
Congratulations and
Unless
welcome
you
to
want
Kearney.
to.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, they met the vote. They have been, the Board of Aldermen should be proud of who you have. They've been very gracious and good.
You don't need to puff him up now.
I still said it.
We don't always hear compliments. So
I know, and I go to a lot of cities, and I do a lot of these public meetings, and you know, where it's warranted. Like I said, I can't say that, I've said that so many times in my career, but thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carney.
And we're gonna add an item under discussion. I'm sorry, you're good to go. Thank you. This evening, I'll turn it over to.
Under
David
public
Fausch.
requests and petitions,
Yes.
yeah, Anna and Tom Christopher are here today. They're proposing to have a carnival at the Fun Farm coming up. And in our code, we require board approval of special events like carnivals and circuses. We've gone through that before. We almost went through it several years ago with the circus, and I think the weather maybe canceled that event. So they're here today to make a request for a carnival
Yeah, before,
at the Fun Farm.
we'll definitely give, Mr. and Mrs. Christopher the opportunity to speak, but I do want to share with the board, the operator, is a local family, the Evans family. It's Evans Midland Empire Shows. I've personally known John, Peggy, and Andrew for many, many years. It's one company that I would always let my son ride on the rides. I know that they send a lot of their rides back to the manufacturer in Illinois yearly to get repainted, anything worked on, top-notch, classy operation, good reputation. The only reason why they don't come to Kearney on the third weekend of September every year is because we're in St. Joe. So I did just want to share out with the board that I'm extremely familiar with the operation and appreciate you guys bringing a good, safe company to Kearney. So with that, do you guys have anything to add with your request?
No, Andrew had called me. I called him about getting a couple kiddie rides for our Strawberry Festival.
Yeah.
And he was broke at that time. I'm like, maybe 3 or 4 little kiddie rides.
Yeah.
Up there. And then, about a week ago, he called and said, we got a cancellation. I can come. And then, I like Andrew Evans and his mom are good people. Well, the one they ran hard last year by the COVID, and they didn't go out at all.
Yeah. Miss John, John was an amazing guy, but so just by ordinance, it requires.
Yes, just a simple board approval.
What date?
Yeah.
This week, it'd be this week.
Oh, this week?
Oh, this week.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday?
I do
Okay.
have 2 comments,
Go ahead.
though.
Sure.
One, we would ask that the carnival company get an occupation license, a business license. And then 2, the fire district has a permit process for temporary structures, and they'll do an inspection of the rides after they get installed.
Are we gonna need a copy of their bonding?
It doesn't ask for it in our ordinance, but as part of the occupation license, they'll provide an insurance certificate.
Okay.
They got us down to the.
Yeah, they do Parkville, North Kansas City, Olathe. They do, St. Joe.
Platte County Fair.
Yeah, they're not a.
Old Shawnee days.
Yeah, Old Shawnee days. They're not a fly-by-night operation. They're a good business, and I'm sure will have all their ducks in order.
I do have one question. I love you guys, and I've been out there much, but do we worry about, traffic or traffic control, bringing in extra things there? And I know you guys get super busy during weekends in the fall, and traffic is.
Have you got an overflow lot out there?
The grass, that's
Well, it's more that one entrance.
Yeah,
We run into
turning.
the same problem at Jesse James Festival Grounds. It's a bottleneck with fireworks shows, carnivals, everything.
Yeah.
The thing
Which is why they put the turn
we
lane.
don't have to worry about is it's not Fun Farm season, So it would
Yeah.
only be carnival season this weekend.
That's
So it's not combining two different events
Well,
at
it's
the
the
same
strawberry,
time.
but the strawberries.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I'm not trying to put a,
Slightly, so the strawberries are 9 to 3.
okay,
And I think it's noon to like 9 or 10 p.m. So
okay.
it's barely overlapping, and ours falls off at 1 o'clock anyway, so.
Okay.
And with the rain, we just have, yeah, unfortunately.
I'll be the first to admit, I was not aware that it required board approval. I thought that this is something that just required staff approval. So I appreciate David,
I wasn't aware either. Right?
yeah. So I appreciate David getting a hold of the Christophers and getting them in here for board consideration. So.
That's only because we've dealt with it before,
Yeah.
where, you know.
Sure. So can we entertain a motion to approve the event at the Fun Farm this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of Evans, Midland Empire shows?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And so David communicated other steps to work with our fire marshal, and you're good to go, Mr. and Ms. Christopher?
I got Jeff's number.
Okay, great.
I don't know him, Susie.
Well, thank you guys for being here this evening. We'll move on to public hearings. We have no public hearings this evening, no old business or no new business, so we'll go to Alderman discussion. Alderman Spencer?
I already gave you my fun little tidbit about the police plates. But I am excited about the fireworks. I'm thrilled that we are able to have it. If it's a bit smaller and not on our date, I truly do think that if we could have it out at the festival grounds, that would be our best.
I appreciate your continued ideas, and I really do honestly appreciate the board approving fireworks tonight, and I have full confidence in our staff. If you get them their ideas, we'll update. Next board meeting will be a good update, and I'm sure they'll take all of our ideas into consideration.
Might be quicker.
Sure.
We may be calling you.
Yes, we may be calling, 'cause, again, I don't want to get in the habit of having.
I did do a quick check on our budget.
would-
We have 23,000 in the budget, so.
Would staff be available to meet?
Okay.
Maybe we have we can plan up a meeting for this coming Monday night?
Pardon me, I'm sorry?
Could we have a meeting maybe this coming Monday night?
Yeah.
Is everybody available Monday night?
Yeah. I must be boring. I'm the only person that don't have to look at a calendar.
I am not.
meeting.
That's a good one, Dan.
Tonight is the 19th, plus
Oh, no, there won't be.
17th.
No.
I could do next Tuesday, but I can't do next Monday.
No,
The
there'll be
24th.
Right?
Or the 31st?
The 31st being, isn't that the holiday week?
That's Memorial Day,
Weekend.
and, yeah, I'm
Memorial Day.
not available.
Okay.
No, not available.
Did you get that at 8 o'clock in the morning?
I don't even know if that, then we're going out of town.
I could do the 24th or the 25th.
I could do the 25th.
That counts the inflatables too.
But that counts the $15,000 fireworks.
Yeah, 15 plus inflatables.
But that included December's fireworks.
Right, that's December's as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the inflatables. What the inflatables cost?
The inflatables weren't.
We didn't include them in the budget, because
We were gonna do a $9,000 show, Christmas
Oh,
parade.
yeah, okay. That's right.
Never mind.
I thought I found money.
Did we already tell Bill?
It's spent.
Back to your seat.
We did tell, but
We
we
did
would
too.
doing it again.
So, board, if you have any ideas or suggestions.
Can we
please let
open
staff.
it up to some of our local music groups, perhaps?
I was gonna suggest that. You've got a lot of groups around that
Dude,
maybe you could,
serious, her husband,
well,
talented.
I'm not volunteering him, but 30 minutes of local, 30 minutes at a.
Yeah, little 30-minute
People.
increments.
I think we probably have somebody on the board here whose wife is pretty good at doing
Yeah.
local
Well, yeah,
tradition.
I'm not gonna volunteer for that.
Let's collect any ideas, and maybe get them to to staff
you in the
and,
meeting, and then we can talk about details, because if you have bands, if you have more than one band and they have drum sets, we're gonna have to get a drum kit, a bass amp, that way you're not.
Changing stage is hard.
Yeah,
Changing-
backline.
30 minutes. That is, yeah.
Alderman Holt?
I just want to say that, God is good. He brings rain when we have new sod in our park. We put down, I don't know how many rolls of sod down there. Our park looks absolutely wonderful. I was on vacation last week, and the first thing I did when I came into town, I didn't even go home. I drove to the park, to look at it. It is truly one of the things we can be proud of, and by getting this rain, it gets everything set to where when we open the park, we don't have a muddy mess. Everything looks nice. Some people complain about the rain. I look at it as a blessing for us and for the city. So I'm just happy that it's raining
All week.
all week.
I just hope the grass doesn't grow more than 7 inches.
Coder, or else they'll build deal broker in here.
Yeah, you can send a letter to Mr. Marshall.
Get the weed whacker out.
Yeah, once again, I appreciate the board's support on that. I was with Eric on site last week, and I was like, oh my goodness.
It looks really good. I saw it today. I was in the firehouse looking out. It looked really good.
And I asked him he's promised to make sure it stays watered, and when it's nice and fresh, to have our mowers be easy on it, so.
Absolutely.
Alderman Lehman?
I just want to reiterate what Alderman Holt just talked about, the sod, just absolutely made the final touches to the park. My granddaughter had her birthday party over at the firehouse, and it happened to be on the day that they were testing the splash pad. And so we kind of stepped outside so she could watch some of the splash pad stuff go off, and she's like, and so to see that awe, and that she was just mesmerized by it, and she's just turned 2, so this is exactly the type of amenity that we've wanted to have, and so to see firsthand what their opinion of that splash pad in the park altogether. So that was really fun. It's great to see things getting back to some sort of normalcy with fireworks. That will be great to have fireworks in Kearney again. And I must admit that tonight's meeting is a little bit strange for me because we're all up here at the same table, and so I've never been on the board when we're all up here. So it's a little bit different, being right here. So
Well, welcome it to the inner circle.
Thank you. So it's great to see things getting back to normal and some sort of normal, and so good things are happening in Kearney, and it's people are taking notice. So.
Yeah, I had lunch with the mayor Smithville last week, and he made the comment that their community passed a park sales tax. I mentioned that only to say now we have a list of things to do to keep up with Kearney.
Yeah.
I took that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Alderman Barger?
I would just add that it's been more than a year since we've all been sitting here together, and so I'm super excited. I hope it's the precursor of a lot of good things to come, and that we'll get the city hall opened and people can come back in and sit in meetings, and we can all get back to our regular lives.
Absolutely.
And may I interject
Absolutely.
one more thing I forgot? I apologize. I just want to give a shout out to all of our 2021 Kearney High School graduates.
Uh, I'll end with, I intended under Mayor's remarks to give some kudos to Donnie Smith and his staff. Mother's Day Sunday, I believe it was. I was at our city cemetery paying respects to my grandmother, and a large tree had fallen down from the storm and wind the night before and totally blocked the entrance into the cemetery, the northeast loop. And so I tried to pull it out of the way with my truck. I didn't have any change. I just kept on breaking my straps. I get a hold of Donnie on Mother's Day Sunday, and you know, we water staff's on duty, and his water staff goes out and cuts it and moves it until they can take care of it, you know, the next day. So I know Jim, and in that time, Jim had a call, I had a call and a text message. So when duty calls, his guys are there. So I appreciate the water guys helping out with a duty that's not typically their responsibility. So that was appreciated. With that, can we entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Did we choose a date, sir?